everybody, welcome to Azure SQL Managed Instance Roadmap. So, typically, in my sessions, I have the introductory part, and I would explain what Azure SQL Managed Instance is. This is the exception. I'm assuming you know what it is. So it's in 2 words, it's a platform as a service offering which allows you certain customization of the features and provides you an SLA, provides you with a set of different features, some of which are even different from the SQL Server that you know and run. But the bits that we are running, that's the same SQL Server. We might not enable something particular, some particular feature because it can affect our SLA, for which we are putting the money up front, or returning you the money. So with that, my name is Nico Neugebauer. I'm a product manager at Microsoft. In my real career, I was actually on the customer side, not at Microsoft. I was building solutions for OLTP, OAuth, performance tuning, et cetera, et cetera. And then I decided to join the empire and help build a better product. Let's see if I'm capable of delivering something whatsoever. So these are the next slides. I'm trying to impress you, like really, I'm striving. So we had, in the year of 2021, 25 updates. That's more than 2 updates, 2 announcements for the service per month. There are no other PaaS services who are close. So what about the year 2022? We had, for the first 9 months, we were 16 announcement. And do you think we were able to hit the 25? I mean, loaded question, right? So that's how it looked by the end of the year. We went totally nuts, really, on delivering various updates. Some of them are in preview, but like a disclaimer, our roadmap does not target to double those numbers in any of the upcoming year. But you can see we're a young product. We just celebrated 4 years in October of the last year, and we started delivering you features, ever increasing our workloads and promises as well. So looking back at 2022, I will not look at all of these features, but I just want you to show what has been delivered, because it fits nicely, especially those previews which will not be previews, hopefully, during this year anymore. So we had the hybrid section. We delivered MSDTC. It's a funny story how difficult it was to deliver this old feature. For those of you who are young enough not know what is MSDTC, congratulations. But there are banks who are using them, and many of them. So we presented a preview. We put through general availability log replay service. I'll go into the details of this one. We introduced a disaster recovery for SQL Server with MI-Link. We did an amazing thing. Right now, if you go to Azure SQL Managed Instance and you don't like it, well, not like Hotel California, you can check in, but you will never get out. We allow you to take the backup and restore it on 2022. So there is no other PaaS service on Azure that will allow you to have this guarantee, and it's totally on us. And we went into GA straight by the GA of the SQL Server 2022. So now, any customer who says, I don't know what happened, like, try it out, test it out. Oh, but if I go into production and then it doesn't work, get out. We will not block you. We will try to keep you. We will do our best to improve the product. But the group with which I'm working on SQL MI are extremely direct and honest people. So we are giving you this year, also we gave you some of those features which save you money. We do not want you to spend too much money, and that's how far I'm about to go on this presentation. Okay, then, who loves transactional replication here? wow, that's cool. So we went into general availability. I don't remember if I have the slide on that, but I'll tell you, you can replicate to our service, but you can replicate away from it. So it's not like other services where you can use it as a destination. As a subscriber, you can use it as a publisher and distributor. Certain limitations, et cetera, but you can even do the hybrid scenario. You're replicating from MI and subscribing on-prem. Then, on the performance, we introduced the data virtualization with ADLS, straight into general availability. We introduced blazingly fast premium series and premium series memory optimized. New hardware tiers. Then we went into GA with 16 terabytes on business critical service tier. Who knows what is the key high availability attribute of business critical service tier on MI? Yes?
Always on availability.
Right. How many replicas?
3.
4. There are 4 replicas, but you are absolutely right. So we provide you with 4 replicas, 4 synchronous replicas there. One is primary, out of the box, 1 readable secondary, and 2 more which are hidden. I mean, with the querying the DMVs, so sys availability group, blah, 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 you can see them. You can see even the lag of the replication or the redo, but they're invisible. Why too? Because we guarantee you, that's really business critical, 1 hardware failure, and if we are patching, let's say security update, we start, of course, with secondaries. Nobody starts with primary, right? I hope we all agree. So if there is a hardware failure, at the same time, patching failure, you will not notice it. We will keep the quorum, your readable secondary is still fine, your primary is still fine. And if we give you 16 terabytes, the constant question, will you give us more? Yes, I would like to, but that service gives you locally attached SSD. We need to provide you 4 times more than 16 terabytes if you go and grab them. That's 64. And some people go like, oh, can we get a 32? Like, easy. Like, that's, how much is it? 32 times 4. And how much should we charge for it? Oh, that's a difficult question. Yes, yes it is. But we're not done. So we introduced some tempdb configurability. You can add remote files. You can change by now the size of the increments. And you can set the snapshot, read committed, not read committed snapshot isolation property on tempdb. Then we introduced the faster provisioning. I'll go into that. Somebody wants to use Windows authentication with SQL Managed Instance? We got it in general availability in August of last year. Then we also allow you the automated key rotation for TDE. So you can use your customer managed key or bio key or bring your own key, and we will do the auto key rotation. You will not notice that. It will be done in Azure Key Vault. On the management, we introduced support for readable access for the geo-zone redundant storage. So you know we have the regions in different places, and inside the region we have the data centers. We call them zones. Fully independent, their own power support, et cetera, et cetera. If one goes down, the others are totally not affected. So we introduced the backup storage that will be replicated between zones. If one zone goes down, your backup is still safe. Not to say that geo-replication, geo-redundant storage would not introduce a better offer, but this one has come. Then somebody is using the license-free offers for SQL Server, secondaries on availability groups for which you do not pay. Yeah. So for failover groups, for applications between different regions which are built on distributed availability groups, we introduced a huge money-saving feature. You will not pay SQL Server licensing. What you will pay are 3 things: compute, hardware, storage, you want to have some data there, and a backup. Because you do not want to lose a backup there, right? But otherwise, it's huge. If you are not aware of the pricing, I mean, I see my colleagues even showing like the triangle with a small difference. Go to 64 cores and measure the price of the compute and measure the SQL Server licensing. This is absolutely huge. Then, who is using MSDB backup set to check on their backups? Oh, what other DMV are you using on SQL Server to check on your backups? Okay, so we introduced support for the backup transparency. This view, this DMV, contains the information not only about your copy-only backups that you can take, but about the service backups we are taking. What is the advantage of that? When you have an audit and they say, prove me that Microsoft is taking backups, what will you do? What do you do, those people who run SQL have audits? You need to run extended events, or you need to dive into the error log, which on SQL is such an awesome task, right? It's just like you dive and like you need to do like that, right? Before diving. So right now, you just go to the habitable MSDB backup sets catalog, and you get all this information. Then we started allowing you to do a cross-subscription point-in-time restore. Pardon me. What does it mean? Why did we block this functionality before? Any guesses? No, it's just why would a customer go to another subscription and take a backup, preventing stealing of the data? Of course, if the subscription are with the same tenant, it should work, and here you go. We do support. We do have some limitations on that feature. We are aware that it needs to be improved. We will do that. Then, did you know that you can start and stop your managed instance? So you can pause. What happens? What will you pay when you pause the managed instance? You pay for storage, the local or remote storage, depending on the service tier, and you pay for the backup. You do not pay for compute, and you do not pay for the SQL Server licensing. Imagine you have a customer which runs from 9 to 6. Let's say they run 5 days per week. You do maintenance just on Saturday. You will be spending just, let's say, probably 85% of the time paying the SQL Server license. It's a huge huge money-saving measure. Then we also introduced database copy and move. If you need to have a copy in different environment, if you are ISV, you have like kind of master and replicating it to different subscribers in this sense, database copy and move is brilliant. It's so brilliant that it is continuous. So you start it, it's not like create snapshot of database whatsoever. It is using distributed availability group. So you start replicating it, it will run, let's say for 2 weeks, and they're like, okay, now I'm ready. It's being synchronized already for, let's say, 1.5 weeks. I do the cut. Or you can do the cut automatically. And we have this option as well. So this is kind of like overview of what happened in the second semester of 2022. And then this. This is the thing we announced, and you will see some of these key things. They are part of November 2022 feature wave. Who has played with November 2022 feature wave here? Like, I knew that. Okay, how can you run a managed instance without paying for the license? Anybody knows? There is a way you can run non-production workload of managed instance without paying for the license. Erwin, can you answer that, if that's true?
Well, it used to be too expensive for what you get for free instantly.
No. It shows what kind of job we, Microsoft, did to you. I'm deeply sorry. There is a DevTest subscription. Did you know that? In DevTest subscription, you do not pay for the SQL Server licensing. And sometimes like, oh, managed instance is so expensive for running our development. Like, what, you pay for compute and storage? No, we pay for licensing. Why would you pay for licensing? Go to DevTest. So for DevTest, we started enabling this. You can experiment with almost all of them. One of them requires a little bit more, a little sign-up process, but this one are improved. Let me just see. So instead of 4 to 6 hours, the habitable provisioning right now, for certain requirements, you will need 4 to 8 CPU vCores. Doesn't really matter if it's GP or BC. You need to have an empty subnet, an empty VNet, and you need to select the default maintenance windows proactively. These are the requirements. If you comply on dev test right now, you should get between 30 and 35 minutes provisioning. And that's just a start. Faster update, resizing, faster deletes are coming, and provisioning not only for 4 and 8 CPU vCores. That's kind of the first item from our roadmap. When? As soon as we can. We are working day and night on this. Start, stop, already explained to you. We have it right now only for general purpose service tier, because dealing with availability groups implies a little bit more work than just a couple of things that we did for GP. Then, this one. I didn't mention it, but zone redundancy. So you can now run SQL Managed Instance in zone redundant mode with this November 2022 feature wave. And this means if one of your zones within your region goes down, we will do a failover. It is available only for business critical service tier, and there is a mistake. It's H2, not H1 of 2023. We will be adding support for general purpose as well. So on business critical, how do we guarantee? We guarantee that out of 4 replicas, 1 out of 3 regions will have 2 replicas, and the others will have, each one have 1. A valid question is, will it increase the latency for the availability groups because the synchronous replication? I don't know, it depends. Why? Because right now, we are provisioning you, and we do not control where it lands. It might land in one zone altogether, it might land spread perfectly. We do not control. We introduce the mechanisms for the control. The storage, the backup storage that I mentioned, release was precisely preparing, because we need the backups in each of the separate regions and being able to replicate it to a different region. So, very nice feature. We already announced, actually, the high availability for it. Does anybody know how many 9s do we give regularly for a regular offer? 4 9s, right. And this one will be 4 9.5. The best our competitors offer is 3 9.5. There is a question. There are 2 questions. Okay. Does SQL Managed Instance allow bidirectional data flow from other databases? Bidirectional data flow, I would like to understand what bidirectional data flow means. Yes, you can copy data from one database to another. Sonam, if you can update the question, expand it a little bit. If it's bidirectional replication, then the answer is no. Otherwise, yes. We want to, next question, we want to create a new database using SQL Server Managed Instance, but one of the requirements is we need a bulk insert weekly feed from other SQL databases on virtual machine on Azure. Is it possible? So the answer is, of course, no. Why don't we allow a bulk or simple recovery model on availability groups? Anyone can guess? It wouldn't work, right? You need a full mode for that, and we are aware, I'll tell you this, we are aware of the necessity, especially for the ETL, for data warehousing, to have this solution. We might be interested in addressing it in one point without any promises or whatsoever. We know, but we need to fix the availability groups. How do they work? Will the customer then say, I want a point-in-time restore on that database as well. Microsoft has changed it from full to simple or to bulk. It's their fault. We want to build you a solution that is safe. A comment? No. Okay, good. DTC, I already mentioned, you can create MSDTC between SQLDB, SQL VMs, or on-prem, and SQLMI. We seriously hacked into MSDTC and, and implemented a new service, Invisible. Oh yeah, me neither. So this is a brilliant thing. Try it out. We need customers trying it out and giving us feedback. Then, with the new feature wave, you will get less routes and less NSG rules, and fewer IP addresses will be required. We are very seriously reviewing our networking story, and there will be some improvements. So, rollout is already started. Stay tuned. It will take several months, and you can contact the product group if you are interested in whitelisting your subscription, but we will not support it on the production level as of today. Just be aware. Log replay service, what is it? It's basically log shipping, right? One of the things we did, actually two cool things. First, we removed the 36 hours requirement as a maximum time. Right now it's 30 days, and you don't have to take a checksum on your backups to restore them. Why would we do that? Because we implemented on-the-fly checksum verification. While we're taking your backups, we're generating the checksums and verifying them. You know, advantages of being a PaaS service. Some other competitors, they do not allow you on some services to take the checksum. Now you're welcome. You can migrate easily from them. Okay, then the backup and restore, as I already mentioned. The new hardware generations, Premium Series and Premium Series memory optimized. We had the standard series, but last year we put into GA these Intel Ice Lake CPUs. They are incredibly fast. Anybody is using column store here? Okay. Are you aware of what AVX 512 CIMD instruction does to some of your processes on column store? Oh, so SIMD single instruction multiple data. So it's the additional registers for the CPU on which you can copy data and then execute one single operation. So 512 stands for 512 bytes. So really huge on the processor level. You might know something from the 90s, MMX. So MMX were the first CIMDs. AVX is the latest and the greatest. They're there. Did you know that on SQL Server 2022, you can enable a trace flag and have AVX 512 on you? The only problem, you will need to find the hardware for your data centers. They're available at us, you know. Actually, one of the things I would like to do if I find time is to write a demo how with few cores on certain column store workloads, we can produce something that on other environments without these fast processors, you cannot ever get. And by the way, we are supporting right now 13.6 gigabytes of RAM per CPU vCore. You will get up to 870 gigabytes of RAM on a single instance, more than double of the standard series. And 16 terabytes are the only thing that requires the premium series memory optimized. Data virtualization. We talked pretty much this week about it, but I'll tell you that you can put Parquet, CSV, and JSON files on ADLS, Azure Data Lake, or blob storage, and then you can map it and read it directly, let's say with open role set, or you can create an external table so your customers will not notice. I mean, they will notice, of course, the latency, especially if you're running business critical service tier, but you can put potentially petabytes of data. It's not only one storage. You can put as many storages as, you know, until some certain limits that I'm not aware of will kick it and prevent you. So you can take out the data out of the managed instance, not frequently accessed data, and put it into the blob storage. Let's say it's archival data, which is very, I used to use the term cold data. Okay? So different scenarios, I don't want to go into all of them, but you can, in data warehousing, you can use it actually as a distributor, or on the dimensional basis is confirmed dimension, because you can feed multiple managed instances from one storage, or you can copy that data and store it locally. I mean, it's a whole world. So this is basically a Polybase ++. Okay, that's the evolution of the Polybase. It was developed by Azure Synapse Analytics team at the serverless. That's the same team, that's a sister team of my team. We work together. So then the code was ported to SQL Managed Instance, and the same code is available on SQL Server 2022. Yeah, we support partition elimination, predicate pushdown for Parquet files, and that's the beginning of the story. Let's put it this way. So, you know, consume any data, telemetry, and you can map external tables and easily consume this data. Then, transactional replication. As I said, you can replicate between managed instances, 2 managed instances whatsoever. We just support transactional replication, no snapshot, no merge, no peer-to-peer, as for now. If you want them, go to user voice, submit the requests. Actually, last year, we released 9 out of 10 top requests on user voice. That's kind of like to level on, sometimes I hear like, oh, you never look at this, like 9 out of 10 and we don't listen to that? Maybe other teams, not ours. Then, Windows authentication. Actually, the implementation is really easy. So what you need to do is you pick up your Active Directory and you start syncing the trust into the Kerberos realm of Azure Active Directory. And then you can use you can authenticate with your Kerberos ticket to managed instance. So what we really did is, I copied from the dark to the white background, and it went a little bit. So client sends the ticket to managed instance, and then managed instance, what we did, we made it recognize that's a Kerberos ticket. And instead of rejecting it, it will go and look into Azure AD, into the trust, like, is there some ticket that should be allowed? Is it mapped? Yes. And then you will get, the customer will get the Azure AD token, and it will work. Even better, it works with double hop. You can even jump with the linked servers between different managed instances. We will support it fully. Of course, you need to authorize each user between those managed instances, but it opens like a very nice set of scenarios. You do not, let's start, you do not need the SQL authentication. And we're not finished with that story. Let's put it this way. So failover write benefits, there are a couple of places we allow you to change, but SQL Server license failover rights, you need to confirm that it's, you will not use it, we will trust you. And you can have, of course, please do not use it for the readable queries. You can use it for the monitoring, but, you know, be reasonable, please. Then, copy move, already explained to you. Pretty cool feature. Known limitations, try it out, give us feedback. Push us to deliver what is missing. Because when we deliver the feature, unless customers are saying like good or bad, we see the usage pattern, and if it's not high enough, even if we believe that the feature is amazing, nobody will approve further developments. We need we are user-driven, we are customer-driven, totally. We need your feedback. So, let's take a look what we announced just a couple of days ago, really 2 days ago. Anybody tried some different connection types for managed instance before? Who is using the public endpoint? Okay, a couple of people. Who is using the local VNet endpoint? Okay, who is using the private endpoint? So 2 days ago, it's difficult not to take any questions, but 2 days ago we announced the initial public preview of the private endpoint. And yes, I can imagine your surprise on that, but that's how it is. So now the Azure architecture, and you should have come to session by my great colleague Zoran Rilek, who is the owner of the networking in Managed Instance. Watch the recording after the SQL bits. He explained the types of the connections we have and what are the advantages and what are the scenarios. Right now, with a private endpoint, you can connect from your application in different VNet to SQLMI. It will not be exposed. And you will consume one IP address in your VNets. It's a great offer. It will get better during this year as well. Just throwing some slack here. I hope Zoran is not watching me. He's like, ah. Anyway, questions on that? Oh, that's beautiful. All right. Now, 31 minutes after, shall we take a look at what is... I'm so sorry. You are bothering me. So, coming in 2023, and 2023 can lead us into 2024. I'm just saying. This is the maximum with teeth, and this I could scramble out of my managers to share. So advanced maintenance notifications will finally go into general availability. If you do not know what it is, it's a notification system that allows you to know 24 hours in advance before we do the maintenance and forced failover for your managed instance. So you have the maintenance window, and you want to get notified. We are improving it to put it into GA. That's what I can say for you today. Cost optimization. GeoDR license free will go into GA. Right now it's in preview. We just need to make sure that we can cover SLA, etc. It will go into general availability. Service endpoint policies. Anybody using? I guess not. Right. Are you afraid of data exfiltration for your managed instances? Are you aware that without service endpoint policies as of today, and without November 2022 feature wave, you can access any storage account? By any, I mean any, in other subscriptions, in other tenants. Would you like to prevent it? 1.5 years ago, we introduced that feature. It's as close to GA as possible. You should be limiting, at least to your own subscription, access to any storage account. MSDTC, transactional replication, all these services are great, but they can allow attacker to extract the information you should be closing. You can do it with NSG, Azure Firewall, Network Manager, etc., like you should, but Managed Instance gives you this opportunity as well. Then, user-assigned managed identity will work with TDE, finally, for SQL Managed Instance, and it will go to GA. Right now, it's in public preview. Then the purview access policies will finally catch up to the other services and will start supporting purview. Sorry, not supporting purview, they are access policies. Then, you should have expected then, right? We will support for restoring backup from S3 during this calendar year, okay? And S3 is not just a storage in our competitor, it's a public open source protocol. They're like, we have a list of vendors. I could fill whole page who supports S3. This is huge. Then we will introduce the right capabilities for ADLS virtualization. We have started the private preview, as announced at the PI Summit, for the backup from secondaries for business critical, which are like 20% faster, not touching your workload. You might be interested in that. Then the link feature will go into GA for 16, 17, and 19 SQL servers. We will introduce the hybrid failover rights for MI-link. Anyone has idea what would be hybrid failover rights for MI-link? I can tell you. You can use the SQL Server as a primary source, and you can use MI as a standby. And we will not ask you to pay for the licensing, the SQL Server licensing. How it will look, when it will go live, we are working very dedicated to make it as soon as possible. Stay tuned. Then we will add the PowerShell and Azure CLI commands for the cross-subscription point-in-time restore, and we will introduce the unlimited preview for disaster recovery with MI-link and SQL Server 2022. So you already know this, that you can do the link, you can establish from SQL Server 2022 MI-link to managed instance. And you know that you can do the backup and restore to come back. As we have been showing like for months, and please come to our booth to view the demo, which is on the loop, we will allow you, unlimited public preview, to do a failover from SQL Server to MI and back, online operations. This will be huge. That means if your database is big, because taking a backup, it's not an online operation, right? The bigger your database, the more unacceptable it is. We will allow you to exit our ex-Hotel California online. You need just to run SQL Server 2022. So I would say even you're running SQL Server 2019, you can migrate to MI. The worst that we will force you is when you're exiting, you will need to land on 2022. That's it. That's the offer. Wrong information, we started it already in last November. You can still sign up for the preview, but we will unlock you totally, and stay tuned for this. Then, service endpoint policies. I explained it, but largely with service endpoint policies, we allow you granular control on subnet level. It applies on the subnet with the Azure service endpoint policies, which storage accounts are accessible. And you will have three choices. You have three choices: subscription level, resource group level, or individual storage account. So if you need just 2 storage accounts, don't be shy. Create 2 policies which are applied for the storage accounts and apply both of them to the subnetwork. It's not one-to-one relationship. Okay? Questions on that? None? Oh my God. Start, stop. So very, very soon, this will start landing in any subscription. Not in GA right away, but you will not have to do anything. During one of the maintenance that will occur during this year, you will go to the portal, hey, start, stop is there. That's what is coming. More details. One of the key things I love, my colleague Uroš Milanovic, who led this, what was done is a scheduler. We have our own scheduler. So you can program, as you can see here on the screen, you can select start, stop schedule, and you can create, add, or edit the items, and you select the time zone in which you are scheduling them. So really cool feature to save you some money. The different SQL MI states, how it transitions. So what other times should you expect? I do not remember. It's for stopping, yes, for stopping it's 5 minutes, and for starting it's 20 minutes. But go to DevTest subscription, experiment, give us the feedback, open the items, contact the product group. Really, we really need feedback on all of it. Then GTC will go into GA. Failover rights benefit for GODR, as I already explained, so your secondary on the failover groups will be available. Data virtualization. So I told you that you can kind of you can read. So now we allow you to write. We will allow you to write. I wish we were planning to announce it 2 days ago, but we are fixing some stuff to deliver it on the right time and straight into GA. So you would be able to take data and create external table and run it, let's say, in Parquet file of your choice. There are some configuration things you need to do. We do not make it open by default. We kind of like data exfiltration, want to be careful. Don't forget, you can and you should use a SAP, storage endpoint policies, to limit the storage accounts that are accessible from managed instance. Yeah, some data. And now, and then, so this one is coming. It's coming in, it's coming. That's what I'm allowed to say. So one day, just one day, if you're running BC, it will get faster. How faster? I can't tell you. I wish I could. But improved write speed for business critical service tier, some of you will absolutely love it. Yep. We did not use the managed disk. We couldn't, but we are about to. This will change your understanding of what I/O on SQLMI can do. By the silence, I understand that it's landing good. Was worth coming, probably. Sorry? So managed disk on business critical would be meaning you have locally attached storage. Makes no sense. So what it will be, how it will be, that's 2 years of waiting, you know? Just let's ask the MVPs. I don't know. Don't ask them. Don't. I know that you don't know, but just I don't want to be bothered by that. Yes, please.
Would that help getting above the 16 terabyte limit?
Some item, you know, you wouldn't care. Can't go into details right away. It's coming at you. We're working really hard to give. We are more than aware that you need it. We honestly want to give it to you. When it will land, I cannot tell you. Nobody knows by now. But we've been researching it, preparing. We are pushing it forward. Yes?
Is this the 3 sliders with core memory, disk, and you choose?
I have mentioned previously, like a couple of minutes ago, that I will not be able to go into the details. I wish I could. Trust me that it's kind of, how much time do I have? Like, okay, good. The fact that my manager, and you all owe him a lot, that he allowed this, I hope nobody from the leadership watches this. That puts pressure like absolutely insane on us. This is why I also love working in my team, because people they thrive on pressure. They do not burn, they burn the pressure, but we're trying to give you the best. And you wouldn't care about this, you know, that we would allow you to find those VMs by your customers that, what is it, for example, like A series provisioned where they think that the SQL server is slow, we can probably, not probably, actually for sure, we know the cases where it would be cheaper to migrate to managed instance. If you are interested in trying out private preview, like in the days, contact me on that. So this is how it looks like. It's a preview. It's a private preview without any promises of whatsoever, but your SQL VM YAS extension will allow you to you have the current configuration, and you have the MI configuration that corresponds. We basically use the, we will allow you to run the assessment of the SKU that you would land on, and then we will list you everything that is compatible and non-compatible. So you will not need to install anything eventually, and you would get this all information. Please contact me if you're interested. So what is on the next slide? Oh, if you are unsure that you will land on managed instance safely, then you can contact us. We have a private preview of a tool which captures your workload on SQL Server and allows you to replay it multiple times on managed instance. We have some details, have been running it for quite some time. Nothing that will be like exposed to the general public, but you can try it out. Thank you. I will take any questions if you have any. Yes. So the question is, will optimistic locking come to MI? The answer is yes, of course. So optimistic locking right now is available only in selected region, and I will not comment the decision of, but it's obvious that it was the idea is to limit the surface and exposure, right? So, but yes, we are the SQL Server as well, not only SQL DB. As it was announced, the optimistic locking will be coming in vNext.
Optimized locking.
Sorry, thank you. Optimized. Optimistic, it's already optimistic. Yeah. So, but I haven't, honestly, I don't even have an idea when we will land it, but we will. Yes?
I'm not sure if it's already covered because I just came to late. Does managed instance support database mail? And if it does...
Does managed instance?
Support DB mail, database mail?
Yeah, it does. Since I think since 2019, it supports DB mail. Actually, I recommend using DB mail for those of you who are kind of like, do not want to or unsure of exploring the Azure services. You set up DB mail. Read well the documentation. You need to set up the profile with a specific name. There are some limitations. But I built some monitoring when I was a customer based on DB mail notifications. That was the question, yes.
Last time I checked, I wanted to convert an Azure SQL database to a managed instance. Last time I checked, this looked kind of painful. Is there a good way,
you will throw unfresh vegetable if I would tell you to use Backpack. I know, but I can try to explain it this way. You know that the patching that we are delivering is not instantaneous, right? It runs through the regions, it runs through the data centers, and we are very carefully patching everybody. What happens if we have patched the source but not the destination? You cannot use backup because it might not be compatible, right? So the reality of global distribution of our data centers, we cannot say, oh, you need to be in, I don't know, imagine some criteria like 5 kilometers distance in order to be able to move it. You will not want in a business critical situation like, oh, I tried, didn't work, let's try next week, maybe better luck next time. So we are hearing, please put the user voice item. We are constantly asked on this item. We are looking how the best to solve it. If your customer is a very big one, you can work with Microsoft. There might be something, I don't know. That's it.
There are some improvements coming to Backpack that I can talk about.
I'm good that it's not on the recording. Anyway, we will edit this gentleman comment. No, I'm kidding, Jay. Okay, it's time. Thank you so much. I'm here if you have any questions and comments. Enjoy your SQL Biz. Thank you.